Hey guys, Jeff here with Ghost Knight Gaming, and we are back with another From Console to Screen. Today we're going to pick up the pace and speed things up with a little bit of Sonic the Hedgehog, released in 2020. We're going to take a look at all the usual things as we go through all the zones, the story, the costumes, the special effects, the accuracy, and the fun, and then we're going to give this thing a final score as we get to the very end and get that signpost spinning. Hopefully you guys enjoy checking this out, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out some of my other videos after we finish this one up. So first off, we're going to take a look at the story. So the story for Sonic the Hedgehog features Sonic in an origin where he comes from the Angel Island Zone, a nod to Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and ends up on Earth after having to escape from the Echidna clan. This is a really interesting start to it, and actually makes good reference and use to some of the original story for Sonic the Hedgehog, which we'll look into a little bit deeper later on. But he finds himself on Earth, and as it happens to turn out, he is in Green Hills in Montana, a fictional city for the sake of this, as far as I know, fictional city, for the sake of the movie. Funny enough, that is intentionally done to make reference to Sonic the Hedgehog 1, where the first zone that you play through at the beginning of the game is the Green Hills zone. As we meet Sonic interacting with the various residents of Green Hills, we are introduced to John Marsden's character, and we get a very interesting look at this. He plays the role fairly well of the small town sheriff stuck trying to make a name for himself as he works to try to get a job at the San Francisco Police Department, which he gets accepted for. But during the early events of the story, Sonic unleashes some mysterious powers that he activates as he deals with some emotional crises early on. Sonic is played very well in this, and it's a very good representation of playing a character who is, young, is a teenager, and go through a lot of the teenage troubles, and it's written and developed very well. This story as a whole is very fun, very energetic, and actually contains a lot of heart as you go deeper into the story. We are introduced to Dr. Robotnik as he goes to respond to the very interesting event that Sonic creates, a EMP blast that knocks out power across a good chunk of a section of the United States. Dr. Robotnik is played by Jim Carrey, and anybody that's familiar with any of his films, he has a very over-the-top acting style. And there are certain times where I find that over-the-top acting kind of goes a little overboard. He still plays the evil genius with a very interesting look. We see some eccentricities with the character, especially to do with the ego related to his intelligence, that I'm kind of hit or miss on. I find some of it a little excessive, but given Jim Carrey's natural penchant for over-the-top and over-eccentric kind of character styles, it's kind of expected with him playing the role. That being said, he still plays the evil genius really well, and helps drive his aspect of the story and his tenacious hunting of Sonic to various degrees. Now, we're also introduced to the rings that are so familiar and very iconic in the Sonic franchise. And they find an interesting way to use the rings in this and have, carefully planned little nods when the rings get scattered, when Sonic gets hit a couple of times through the story, but they're used as teleportation devices and portals to be used to travel all across the universe, and lending to the fact that Sonic is from a very far away place. Whether that far away place is actually Mobius as a whole or not, I guess we'll have to see in what comes later. As a whole, I found the story very, very fun, very heartwarming. It was great to watch the dynamic between James Marsden's character and Sonic, and there were a lot of really good funny moments, but there are also some really good touching moments where Sonic essentially gets his first friend, and it's really wonderful to see. It was uh, very touching at some points in the end, and with the stuff that happened at the end credits and after the end credits, we have some really good potential for what we may see later. As a whole, I found this story really good, really fun, and very enjoyable. So I'm really happy to give the story the score of an S. This was a well-told story. It had really good pacing. I really enjoyed all of the elements of it. Even the kind of over-the-top nature of Jim Carrey's performance at times as Dr. Robotnik really couldn't actually ruin any of it for me, and I just really enjoyed it. It was fun to watch from beginning to end. My kids loved it too. So lots of points in my book here. So next up we have the costumes. So because Sonic is portrayed digitally through special effects, we're actually going to cover him in the accuracy and the effects section. But as a whole, the only one we really wanted to see costume-wise was actually Dr. Robotnik. And it wasn't actually until later on that he adopted his flight suit that we got the closer to what we usually see Dr. Robotnik with. Now, he was totally on top with a lot of the badniks, as you can see during one of the scenes where he's playing with an electrical panel. You can see that they are called badniks, which is accurate to the games. He doesn't really full-on adopt the Dr. Robotnik look until the very, very end of the game with some of the close credits scenes. So it takes a while for us to see some of those iconic elements of it. And most of the rest of the iconic stuff, like Sonic's red shoes, still gets in there. But it's more to do with the special effects. So as a whole, because we really didn't see a ton of stuff related to the Sonic franchise until much later, and especially with Dr. Robotnik's look, we're going to give the costumes a B. And part of that has to do with just the nature of the story and the location being on Earth. They couldn't really go way over the top with the costumes, but at the same time, there was still it was a long while before we really saw Dr. Robotnik look like what we usually associate with Dr. Robotnik. All right, next up, we're taking a look at the special and physical effects. So overall, the special effects and the digital effects, we're at this point where any CG animation or anything like that is actually kind of reached a point where it's actually really hard to screw it up. At least I like to think. It can happen. But this was very clean. All of the special effects related to all of Robotnik's creations, Sonic himself, and we're going to get into stuff about Sonic shortly, all looks really good. There's a couple of times where James Marsden's character is, Tom is interacting with Sonic, and it feels a little weird, but I think one of the smart things they did is I think they put some stand-in physical props of Sonic for him to hold or touch in certain cases when Sonic gets injured. And I think that helps, but at the same time, it looks a little weird. Not as bad as actors having to interact with 100% CG situations where the shape and size may not carry well when they're trying to hold and touch things. But as a whole, it did fairly well. The physical effects are good. They don't have any, super elaborate fight scenes that aren't generally just 100% special effect. All of the encounters with the robots and the chase through San Francisco and even through various other locations throughout the world, Egypt, China, and the like. A lot of that is still very well done. It's very clean, and it's very good and realistic looking, in a sense of how realistic you can get with an anthropomorphic blue hedgehog that runs really fast. So as a whole, we're going to give the special effects an A. They were really good all through, but some of the interactions between the cast and, say, Sonic and some of the special effects were a little bit off. Next up, we're going to take a look at the accuracy. So I had to do a little bit of research to try to look into Sonic's backstory and look into the past to try to see some of the origins. Now, over the course of the games, comics, TV series, the origins of Sonic get a little twisted here and there. Obviously, the interaction with like the Echidna tribe going after Sonic and some of that stuff. Okay, that's happened before in some of the story. I think Longclaw, even despite all my research, is somebody that was added just for the sake of the movie. Um, some Sonic adventures actually have the story set on Earth, so there's some credence to that. Well, comics and some of the other things have it all set on the planet Mobius. So it kind of gets very gray there, and a couple of things step out. We don't see any of the roboticized animals in this movie, though, once again, Dr. Robotnik's origin coming from Earth seems to be fairly accurate with various different story types. Though originally in some of the iterations, he's actually a good guy until Chaos Emeralds get involved, and then he becomes the evil Dr. Robotnik. So some of that is a little changed off. Uh, Sonic's look is on par, but that almost became a disaster. One of the examples of a PR disaster for any movie studio was the early trailers for Sonic the Hedgehog and the original look. This look getting so um, butchered and attacked on the internet that they actually completely redid Sonic's look, and actually I think they had to redo a lot of the CG for Sonic because of the backlash from his look. And while I'm not really a fan of the precedents that it set, the fact that they made those changes actually saved the movie, I think, as a whole. And we'll talk about that a little bit more at the tail end when we get to the final score. But considering there was a lot of places where they made the right nods, mentioning Green Hills, the Angel Island zone, the Echidnas, um, spoilers here, when Tails shows up at the end of the movie looking for Sonic, and even his look is perfect and on point. There were other points where the accuracy kind of changed. The rings function differently compared to every other iteration of the rings. The background for Robotnik changed up a bit, and even some of the elements of them being on Earth were a little bit different. So as a whole, we're going to mark the accuracy at a B. There were a lot of places where they did it right, but almost equally there were a lot of places where, at least if we're looking strictly at accuracy to the games, to the story there were some places where there were holes. And that's largely where we're looking at it from there. Now, here we are. Was this movie fun? Let's take a look at that. And honestly, I don't really have much more to say other than an overwhelming yes. This was a fun and fantastic movie. It was enjoyable. It was heartwarming. You could laugh. I'm pretty certain there were a few people that totally cried. I was close. And it was fun to watch. It's great to watch with your kids. It's just a fun experience to have, and I can't really say much more than that. We're going to give this one a rank S and a resounding yes. This movie is fun. It is so much fun, and I really enjoyed it. All right, so we've looked at all of the bits. We've looked at the story, the costumes, the effects, the accuracy, and the fun. Let's take a look at that final score. After all is said and done, our final score for Sonic the Hedgehog, because if we take too long, we know he's going to be tapping his foot, waiting for us to say something, we're going to give him an A. This is a fun, entertaining video game movie that I highly recommend everybody check out, whether you're a Sonic fan or not. Sonic fans have a lot to look forward to this, and non-Sonic fans or people that are new to the Sonic series are just going to have a fun, family-friendly movie that you can enjoy with your kids, with your spouse, whoever. You can just enjoy this movie. It is a great time, and it's well worth checking out. And it was really was a highlight of last year, where we had a lot of things that didn't go right. Sonic the Hedgehog was not one of them. After they dealt with the fiasco of that early trailer release, they really raised the bar of what a video game movie could do and what a fun, entertaining, family-friendly action movie could be. So honestly, I think you should race on out there and check this movie out if you haven't already. That is it for today's From Console to Screen. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one as much as I did. I'm really looking forward to seeing more about this and really looking forward to the sequel that at the time of this video being posted has been announced that it is fully in production at this point. We've got a lot we can see with this, and I'm really excited to see what they can do with this franchise and see how far they can go with these. And hopefully we keep seeing the quality that they turn around and put into this movie. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you want to check out more of my videos or hang out with me. I'm over on Twitch, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on Discord. Hey, you want to check this movie out with me? Be sure to sign up on the Discord and join us in there. And we've got movie nights coming for all of the movies we've reviewed so far. A couple of them we've already checked out. So if you want to do that, make sure you check that out. Check out my other videos. Subscribe if you haven't. Give me a like if you enjoyed this. Throw some suggestions in the comments. Let me know what you think about the movie. And we're going to rush on over, head on out, have fun, keep gaming, and I'll see you guys again next time.